And just like that, townhouses have absolutely smashed past 2022 pricing and continuously going on this upwards trend, absolutely smashing past a lot of expectations of last year. So let's dive into it. Hello, my name is Adam Fyfe, your Calgary Realtor. If you want to dive into this in a lot more detail, it is very important to book a call and have a consultation. If you're looking to sell or buy, it is very important that you do the research ahead of time because you don't want to get into the market and get absolutely tossed around not knowing what to expect. So let's go. Now, just like usual, I'm going to touch on this graph a little bit more before we continue on too far. Now, you can see that the red bar is benchmark price, and you can see that it's absolutely flying up, hinging towards $380,000 for the average benchmark priced home in Calgary. Now, I do have an attributes breakdown for the benchmark price linked in the description below to give you an example of what the benchmark attributes are for a townhouse in Calgary. I've been asked a couple times. So when looking at this, you can see that the January, February, March of this year, the sales to inventory is starting to get closer and closer, with March being very close neck and neck. You can actually see March of last year, sales outpaced inventory, which was causing a crazy price increase. Similar things are happening this year, but last year we had the increase in interest rates, which really slowed down the market. You can see that the sales and inventory fell together. They were roughly within the same range. You can see October, November, December, it started getting a little bit tighter, and then January, February, March, it took off. Now, the benchmark price for 2022 was very stable, in my opinion. Yes, there was some small declines, but it really wasn't that much. The affordable product in Calgary really held its ground. So we are starting to see this crazy increase in price, and I'm just not sure where it's going to land. So let's dive into it a little bit more. Now, here's the year-to-date stats package for townhouses in Calgary as a whole. So this is covering all quadrants into one stat. You can see that the sales have increased, the new listings have increased, and the inventory has increased. The sales are similar to August of last year, where it was trending down. New listings is nice to see tick up, but 508 new listings in a month really isn't enough to offset these amount of sales, because there's too many buyers in the market and not enough listings, which is causing buyers to aggressively place offers on properties, really driving that price point up. Inventory has increased to 403 units left over at the end of the month, which really isn't that much. You can see like April, May, and June of last year, you were upwards around 800 at the end of the month, giving people a little bit more options to select. The days on market has drastically dropped to 21 days, which is similar to about March, April of last year, right before the interest rates started coming in. Now, I don't know, I'm actually very surprised to see it that low. 21 days is very fast. So it will be very interesting to see just how low that gets, because the lower that gets, the more intense the negotiation process is going to be. It just means that the tighter the inventory is. So we're really hoping that more new listings come up on the market. Now, price point, benchmark price is $378,000, which greatly outweighs everything of last year. Now, what I've done is I pulled up the data for townhouses in Calgary's history. You can see that this month we have set a new record, just like we did in other sectors, where it's $378,000, which is the most Calgary's benchmark price has ever been to buy a townhouse. You can see last month we actually broke the record for the first time at $370,000, and then before that it was all the way last year, June of last year, is $363,700. Where if you kind of go down the graph, you can see 2014s and 15s in there, and no 2007s, which you would see in the condos. So this is new territory for Calgary. This is really crazy to see. We're setting new records. Calgary is the most expensive it's ever been. And to be honest, it really doesn't have any signs of slowing down. And this is why I say that Calgary is most likely in a bubble. How long is it going to last? I'm not 100% sure, because there is so much activity going on in Calgary right now that it's very difficult to see when demand's going to slow down. There's a lot of economic things that we need to look at. You know, how much is the unemployment rate going to increase? Realistically speaking, right now it's decreasing from what I saw. And another factor is the quality of jobs. You know, are people coming here from out of country, out of province, and getting the same jobs that they were working at before they actually came here? Now, Calgary is very interesting because there was a lot of work from home, right? The pandemic, when a lot of people were working from home, they came to Calgary. It was more affordable. So a lot of people are working remotely here. So Calgary really does need to concentrate and shift their focus economy-wise to kind of support those industries, right? So there's a lot of uncertainty right now, and it's very interesting for townhouses. But let's continue on here for the microeconomic outlook. Now, this is every single quadrant, and it breaks it down a little bit more. So you can see that the sales to new listing ratio is hovering around 76%. You can see some 90s in there. You know, you've got your city center, you've got south, southeast, and east, all above 80%. You can see that the months of supply is very low. Months of supply is 1.4 months on average. City center is usually the slowest one, and it's at 1.15, and northeast is actually the highest at 1.5. These are very much sellers markets favoring the seller. So as a buyer, you need to know that going into negotiation. As a seller, you have a little bit more leverage to market your property and potentially get over ask price depending on how you position yourself. You don't want to go on the market asking $30,000, $40,000 over ask and shoot yourself in the foot and then have to chase the market. You probably want to go in at or below market value to really drive that traffic. Now, this is the average price or the benchmark price for each individual quadrant. You can see the year-over-year stats are around 7.5. It's still crazy to see some double digits in there. You know, you got your northeast at 10, you've got your south at almost 13%, and then your month over month. Again, I didn't put in the dates here, or the actual price points here, so in post, I will make sure to upload those and show you exactly how much townhouses have increased in each individual quadrant. So next here is the sales by price point. Now, this is quite interesting for buyers. You want to know what the activity is in the price point that you're going at. You can see that the yellow bar is last year, and we greatly trumped this year for the year to date. You can see that the 200 to 300 and the 300 to 400 were a lot more active. You can see that there's still some under $200,000 townhouses, but they're probably going to slowly deplete as the affordability starts to disappear in Calgary and become more expensive. Now, again, this is more or less important for you to understand that when you're getting into that price point, how active is it? You know, are you in the 400 to 500? Are you in the 500 to 600? Really just depends on what your personal situation is. So here's the year-to-date sales. Now with a 10-year average bar, you can see that we are above 10-year average because the 2015 to 20 was very slow for Calgary. It was a very slow market, and then the pandemic hit, and then all of a sudden we skyrocketed. I would argue that the sales would be a lot higher year to date in this graph if we had more listings. If we had more listings, I would argue that we would be very close, if not past 2022. So the story here is new listings. Now, we are actually below the 10-year average, but if you look closely, you can actually see we're pretty much in line with 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 20, right? So it would be nice to have more listings come out the market, but I made a video talking about this. In 2021 and 2022, there was a lot of people that kind of felt stuck, right? The property values were not increasing. When they got in the market between 13 and 20, they really couldn't make a move unless they were willing to lose some money. So when 2021 and 2022 rolled around, a lot of people sold their properties to get out of them into new situations, especially with lower interest rates. Now that all of those people have kind of jumped on that, made their move within the last 48 months, there's a lot of people that really just don't have to move, and the interest rates are a lot higher. So if these new listings stay lower than the 10-year average and the sales are staying above the 10-year average, I'm pretty sure townhouses are going to see a pretty crazy increase. So with that being said, this is the City of Calgary's price change chart. Now, this is just a visual. You can see that the first 3 months of the year, that's a crazy skyrocket of price point. You can see in 2018 to 22, really wasn't that much movement, to be honest, in price. And then 2022 itself, it just skyrocketed. So where's Calgary going to end up? Are we going into a bubble? What's going on here? How high is it going to go? I'm not sure. We just have to watch it, look at the previous month's data, and make our decisions based off that. Calgary townhouses are not going to slow down anytime soon, in my opinion. So it is very important to create a plan, set up a strategy, and go out there with a like a good mindset, right? You don't want to go out there just not knowing what's going to happen. It is very aggressive, it is very intense. I've lost out on quite a bit of offers this year. There's just a lot of people placing unconditional offers, faster closings. It's very intense. When there's 3 to 5 to 6 offers on a property, the odds of you winning it are pretty low, unless you're being a little bit more aggressive. So feel free to set up a call. Let me know what your thoughts are. If you want my advice, my opinion, anything along those lines, I'm happy to provide it. So thank you very much for watching. Please make sure to subscribe. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.